Hey there, teens. A lot of young people these days are getting into homosexuality, and look, I get it. Queerness is cool, it's fun, it's edgy, but what if I told you that there was something even more queer than being gay? What if I told you there was something more transgressive, more revolutionary, more disruptive to the status quo? That's right, the queerest thing of all is heterosexual marriage within the Mormon Church. To learn more, let's turn to our sacred text, TLC's reality TV special, My Husband's Not Gay.
Lunch is ready. Can you come?
You want some, Mommy?
Yeah.
My name's Jeff.
And I'm Tanya.
We've been married about 9 years. We've got one delightful son. And I guess one of the most unique things about our relationship is I experience SSA, or same-sex attraction.
In 2015, TLC aired a documentary entitled My Husband's Not Gay, which follows 3 Mormon married couples in Salt Lake City whose husbands are, sorta gay. Or as they put it, they're living with same-sex attraction.
Not gay. SSA.
To these men, being gay implies having gay sex, whereas SSA refers to thoughts and feelings. And this distinction is important because in the Mormon Church, homosexual attraction is fine, but homosexual sex, no.
See, we believe in procreating and making children and living the gospel and between a man and woman.
So these men choose not to act on their feelings because of their faith. But rather than being celibate, they marry heterosexual women and have heterosexual marriages while being completely open about their sexual orientations. The documentary, as you can imagine, was controversial. A Change.org petition calling for it not to be aired got over 100,000 signatures.
TV viewers need to know the horrific consequences of trying to change who you are. Instead, TLC is presenting victims' lives as entertainment.
Gays are made in the image and likeness of God, in the same measure that straights are made in the image and likeness of God.
TLC is stepping over a dangerous line promoting this kind of visual, fecal matter.
Suppression of natural sexual urges leads not only to depression, suicide, and intolerance, but to pedophilia as well.
I find this offensive to Christians.
My circle of friends reaches thousands, and they will all be made aware of your shenanigans.
Ew, this show sounds weird.
This promotes the false and dangerous idea that gay people can and should choose to be straight in order to be part of their faith communities.
Look, I completely agree that this message is false and dangerous. But it's also honestly pretty queer, pretty transgressive, really challenges the norm, totally fab, I love it. And maybe the coolest and sexiest part of this trendy alternative lifestyle is guy time.
One of the things that our husbands have learned the value of is to have guy time. It's so healing for them to have these good, non-sexual relationships with guys that they can just go and be guys with.
Hey, you see that guy over there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I love these good, non-sexual relationships.
He's a good-looking guy, for sure.
He's okay.
With guys that you can just go and be guys with.
I kind of like guys that are a little more athletic, fit, like myself. Let's just say that I have a huge crush on Tom Brady.
Okay.
So healing.
Yeah, I think he's a great-looking guy, but then I like the swimmer's build.
What's the swimmer's build?
Toned, long-limbed.
Gangly, would you say?
There's something very erotic about these guys who are attracted to guys, hanging out all the time in order to bond with each other as guys over their shared attraction to guys. I can just imagine the build-up, the desire, the raw sexual energy.
I think that's Jay.
We know him.
Yeah.
Well, that's Jay.
Yeah. Hey, Jay. What's up, man? How's it going?
I love it. Guy time is made all the more intriguing by the implication that the husbands need to be careful. When Jeff mentions to Tanya that he's thinking of going on a camping trip with some guys, she's cautious.
Who's going?
A couple guys you don't know.
How well do you know these guys?
I don't know them very well, actually.
Being with someone with SSA comes with its own set of challenges. When my husband goes on these overnight trips, I've been concerned, just because anything can happen. Do you remember the incident that happened at the house a couple years ago?
There was one time a couple of guys slept over at my house. And let's just say things got a little out of control.
No, say more, please. I need to know about the incident. This fear that anything could happen is discussed most regularly through the danger scale, which Jeff explains to Tanya using this hypothetical scenario.
You know, if I was drugged and forgot I was married to you, and I was in a back alley and, well, in some dark corner with romantic music, would anything happen? That's the danger scale.
I love the contrast here between being drugged in a back alley and also there being romantic music playing. You know, if I was kidnapped and held at gunpoint and forced to attend Anthrocon, and they've got the scale down to a science.
The danger scale goes from 0 to 4. A 1 on the danger scale is you notice, you look.
A 2 means you looked again.
A 3, you'd be tempted to turn around and look again and again.
4 pretty much means you're requiring restraints.
Ah yes, at level 4 you must be physically restrained to avoid pouncing on your prey. Even though this attraction is directed at men rather than women, it's a pretty standard depiction of male sexuality as like an untamable animal impulse. Men are these naturally virile, sexually aggressive creatures. But then, Jeff turns that on its head when he says this.
Obviously my wife's a 4.0.
That's right, his wife, who he is literally not sexually attracted to, is full-on in the danger zone. Which means that this is not some animalistic impulse, it's social. Which brings us nicely to perhaps my favorite scene in My Husband's Not Gay, in which the 3 wives go for a hike, along with the sister-in-law of one wife and this other random woman who they invited for some reason.
She doesn't know anything about this.
She doesn't yet know that the way all of the other people in this gathering know each other is through their homosexual husbands, and then Tanya, who invited her, is like,
and if the topic comes up about SSA, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll come up. That would be sorta awkward. Like, I invited her on this hike with a documentary crew making a documentary about this subject. I wonder if it's gonna come up. I wonder if maybe the only reason I invited her was to get a candid reaction to the discovery. That would be sorta awkward, wouldn't it?
With the SSA, we're so different in so many ways. What is SSA?
So our husbands are actually attracted to men?
Oh, wow.
She takes it pretty well, and then she asks the question that I know you've all been wondering, which is, what about the sex, right? You've been listening to all this and you're wondering, do they do sex with each other? The answer is yes, and it's great.
This is my second marriage, so I know what it's like to be with what you would call a straight guy, and now what some people might call gay, and I'd say this one's better just because we learned how to talk about really hard things, so we end up with a much better sex life.
Straight sex with gay people is way better than straight sex with straight people, and like, this shouldn't be all that surprising, right? It's not all that surprising that they're doing a fine job sexually. I mean, it's just like genitals, you know? Like, you just touch things, put things in places, whatever. This scene delinks sexual desire and sexual satisfaction, and in doing so, it tells us that these women are not just the objects of male sexual desire, they are autonomous subjects communicating their own desires to their presumably bored husbands. Feminist as fuck. The true queer icon of this LGBT masterpiece is Tom.
I don't feel like I fit the mold of guys that are attracted to other men, other than my deep and abiding love for Broadway show tunes and the attraction to males. Those are the 2 things that are kind of gay about me.
He's this same-sex attracted man who is not married but would like to find a wife. And his scenes are probably the most bizarre to me in that it is hard for me to understand why he wants what he wants.
I'm 34 years old, I've never kissed a girl.
It goes beyond just not wanting to violate Mormon teachings into this very straight rom-com imagining of how he wants his life to be.
I want to meet a girl and like her and say, by the way, I'm attracted to guys.
And his little story arc just feels like such sitcom-y material. His friends tease him about being single, they set him up on a group date, he's nervous and flustered.
Nice to meet you, Tom. These are for you.
They're so beautiful.
They're flowers.
They are flowers.
But, cute quirky twist, the friends haven't told this woman that Tom's into men, and he doesn't want her to know yet, but they're sort of making jokes about it.
Did you grow up with dogs?
Kind of, yeah.
What kind?
A wiener dog.
That's the kind of dog you should get, Tom.
The conversation at dinner was interesting. I can tell that there are a lot of shared experiences between the people at the table that I'm not privy to.
And then, at the end of the date, he finally tells her.
I'm attracted to men.
When Tom did open up to me about the SSA, I immediately thought, wow, this is something really brave of him to do.
What a heartwarming story. I'll be honest, the scenario makes me sad in a way that the rest of the documentary doesn't. Most of the other men were in straight relationships before they came out and then wanted to make it work. Like, they care deeply about their wives and about their relationships, and they're going to be honest about that care not being based in sexual or romantic attraction, but that doesn't make it less meaningful. They still love their wives, they still want the relationships to work. One of them even says, like, he would want to stay with his wife even if the Mormon church were fine with gay people.
If it was accepted to be a homosexual in the church, would I be gay? Or would I live that lifestyle? Maybe 8 or 9 years ago, 10 years ago, the answer would be yes. Today? No.
And that's sorta nice. I mean, I guess ideally they'd be allowed to have some gay sex on the side or something, the drugged out back alley romantic music sex they've been dreaming of, but I don't think we need to feel bad for someone just because they don't have the most fulfilling sex life. I don't feel that bad for random gay men who aren't sexually active, but when it's this single, same-sex attracted man who desperately wants a straight relationship and is closed off to the idea of a gay one, that does make me sad. And it makes me sad to imagine a young queer kid, same-sex attracted kid, who sees this documentary and feels like that's the only viable model for their future. But I'm also troubled by some of the reactions to this documentary from my fellow gays. Have you considered that maybe gay people are the real homophobes? A lot of people expressed pity for the families. They're seen as victims. These pathetic, repressed gay men, their dissatisfied wives whose husbands will never truly love them back, and their children who will suffer with the fallout of the tumultuous relationships before eventually murdering their parents and becoming serial killers. And I don't totally buy that. But before I explain why, I want to be very clear that the documentary and the people in it are homophobic. I think the couples themselves would deny that. They act like this is just their personal lifestyle choice, their individual preference. This is just what works for them, but don't worry, they're super accepting. We should be clear, though, that the reason this is their personal lifestyle choice, and the reason that they're interested in spreading their message through a TLC documentary, is that they think being gay is a sin. SSA's not a sin, being gay is a sin. My aim here is not to defend them. It's to show that if we take the documentary's claims seriously, if we believe that these couples could be happy, it still destabilizes the very structures that they're trying to uphold. I think there are a lot of assumptions that go into the idea that all of these relationships, no exceptions, must necessarily be miserable. First, for the husbands, there's an assumption that they need to act on their sexual impulses to be happy. For the wives, there's an assumption that they need to be desired by a man. And for the children, there's an assumption that their parents need to sexually desire each other to be good parents, I guess. And these assumptions are completely in line with traditional ideas of gender and family structure. Like, following this logic, the way that these marriages would work and be healthy would be if the husband had a natural, biological, God-given lust for women, his wife was made a full person by his sexual affection, and then they had some beautiful Mormon children with beautiful blue eyes. And at a surface level, that seems to be the traditional model that these marriages are seeking to follow. But my husband's not gay also complicates all of those assumptions. Because, like, no, the husbands don't need their sexual impulses fulfilled to be happy. Those impulses are not some base animalistic aggression. They're largely social. They just talk about how horny they are for service workers as, like, a playful bonding activity.
If he wants to check out a guy, fine if I get to check it out with him.
And no, the wives don't need to be desired by their husbands. As we just saw, they can even get in on the playful bonding too. They get some amusement from their husband's same-sex lust, and they're having super great sex already.
There are certain people on this couch that I would be envious of their sex life. Me.
And the children don't appear that much, but they seem fine too. I think there's something liberating in saying that it's okay to, like, go ahead and marry your close platonic friend. The center of your life doesn't need to be romance. You don't need to be sexually desired or sexually fulfilled to be a person. My Husband's Not Gay shows that the desire for a traditional Mormon marriage is not based in natural or biological or God-given laws. But even though these marriages are formed around essentially that exact mythology, I think saying that they must be miserable relies on similar logic. It suggests that these gay people should be in gay relationships because that's just the natural path for them. They need to be their true, authentic selves, and it's up to us to tell them what that means. So in conclusion, yeah, the Mormon Church is homophobic. This documentary is like harmful or whatever, probably. Don't do straight stuff just because the church tells you to. Conversion therapy is bad. But if you want to just like platonically marry a pal or two, I say go for it. Thank you for watching, and I hope all you young, impressionable viewers will join me in converting to Mormonism. There's nothing cooler than a queer Mormon missionary spreading the word of Jesus Christ.